Hey everyone, we're on to our 5-6 lesson. We're talking about proportions again. You know how I love those proportions. We're looking at percentages and proportions. We can kind of have a special rule for today. So I have a super special formula for here. This is our big key right here. Make sure you get this one in your notes. Find a percentage formula. What I have right here, I want you to make sure you get in your notes. This is of... Just take a second to jot that down. We'll talk about it in a second. Here's some simpler versions of it. So basically what we're going to be doing today is they're going to tell us some different scenarios, like, for example, on our first one, find 65% of 245. We were talking about decimals, percentages, fractions yesterday. We were putting that all together. We were putting that all together today, and we're going to be looking at some different formulas here that we can use to solve all of these. This is the general formula that I'm going to use all day today. Is over of equals P, which is percentage, over 100. I have that written down for you right here. I have that A and B transitioned in there for you for the is and of. So a lot of times they're going to tell you something like this: find 65% of 240 or 245. And we're going to have some different ways that we can solve this. But basically, they tell us right now, they tell us our percentage. 65 is our percentage, and they told us our of. So what we're going to do here, right here, is we're going to take these and we're going to plug them into our formula. Let me show you an example. Right here, they tell us find 65% of 245. So on here, I made a little chart. I have 0% right here, 100% right here. And they want us to find 65%. So I put that line right here of 245. So I have from 0 to 245. They told us what it is on a percentage-wise. They told us what is 65% of this. But they want us to find that. And watch how we're going to do this. So I'm going to use that is over of formula equals percent over 100. And I'm going to take my percentage and I'm going to plug it in for P. So I'm going to have 65 over 100. I plug that in for P because P is percentage. Anytime you have a percent, you're going to plug it in for P. They also tell us our of. They tell us our of is 245. So what we're going to do, we're going to plug that in for our of, 245. The only thing we don't know is our is, so I'm going to change that into X. They told us our of, they told us our percent. I plugged those two in. Now we're ready to solve this. We can do this by doing our cross products. We have two proportions that are equal right here. We have two proportions that are equal. All we have to do here is find those cross products. And I'm going to have 100x equals 65 times 245. Let me check that one out real quick. And I got 15,925. And finally, we're going to divide each side by 100 to get that x by itself. And when I divide by 100, I know that just means my decimal point is going to move 3 times, or 2 times, excuse me, 1. Starts right here, 1, 2, and we're going to get 159.25. If I plug that in for my is on top, I would get 159.25 over 245 equals 65 over 100. So I just plug these into the appropriate spots on the is and of and move right from there. We got a couple more examples. It doesn't look like I'm going to have room on my board here, so I'm going to pull out my whiteboard beside us, and we're going to look at this a little bit here. So our next one, they tell us 25% of 124 is question mark. So again, we are using that is over of equals percent over 100. And they told us a few things. They told us our percent, so I'm going to plug that in right now and go with 25 over 100 on this side. And over here, they told us our of is 124. We don't know our is, so our is is going to be our x here. And I'm going to cross multiply from here. Nice and simple. And we're going to get 100x equals 25 times 124. I forgot to mention on this lesson you are able to use your calculators, but you still have to show all of this work that I'm showing right now. Get that x by itself by dividing each side by 100. And that'll move our decimal place a couple times here to x equals 31. So we just figured out when the percent is 25 of 124, that is the same thing as 31 out of 124 equals 25%. And we just figured that all out using our is over of formula. Let's take a look at one more. We got 43%. I'm going to use that is over of equals p over 100. Plug in my percent here. That's what they gave me. They gave me my percent. It's 43 out of 100. And they tell us our of is 230. Don't have this. Same things, same steps. Cross multiply here. 43 times 230. Again, you can use your calculator on these, especially when you're doing those division problems. But you still need to be able to show all of this work for tests and quizzes. Divide each side by 100 to get that x by itself. And that'll move our decimal place a couple times here. And we'll get x equals 98.9. So 98.9 out of 230 is the same as 43% or 43 out of 100. Those are equal proportions. Awesome. So there's some examples to start us off, but there's going to be times where they don't always give us the of and the percentage. Sometimes they're going to give us other things. For example, if you look right over to this side, they tell us what percent of 60 is 52. This time they told us our is and our of, but they didn't tell us our percentage. We don't know what our percentage is. Take a look at our chart here. I have 0 to 60, and I have 52 marked down there. And I have 0 to 100%, and I don't know this percentage. So here's how I'm going to set this up. I know my of is 60, and my is 52. They tell me that right there. So I'm going to plug those in. 52 over 60 equals p over 100. And all we have to do from here is we have to cross multiply just like we've been doing. We're going to have 60p equals 52 times 100, which is going to be 5,200. Divide each side by 60. I'm going to type that one in on my calculator. And I'm going to get p equals 86.6. And we're talking about percentages now. That's what we just found. So I'm going to toss that in as a percentage. So we just figured out that 52 is 86.6% of 60. That's what we just figured out. We're going to do some more examples of that. Again, this is our same formula. We just have different components that they gave us here this time. Let's check it out. We've got that is divided by of equals p over 100. Looking at this one, what percent of 250 is 138? Making sure I'm putting in these to the right spots. So I have my of is 250. My is 138 equals percent over 100. And you know how to do the rest from here. Work on that cross multiply. Add 2 zeros onto that. Equals 250p. Divide each side by 250 to get p all by itself. And I'm going to punch that one in my calculator. And I will get 55.2 equals p. We're talking percentages. So that equals 55.2%. Let's do another. Using the same formula all the way through today. We got 14 is what percent of 15. They worded this one a little different, but this is all going to work out the same. We have our 14 is our is, 15 is our of. They're trying to find out our percent. 14 is our is, 15 is our of, equals p over 100. From here, all we got to do is cross multiply, add in a couple zeros there, equals 15p. And to get p by itself, divide each side by 15. That'll cancel those out. And I get p equals 93.3 repeating percent. Which seems to make sense. 14 out of 15. That's going to be pretty close to 100%. That checks out. So again, we're using that same formula. Our only difference here is they gave us different components. This time, they gave us our is and our of and left out our p. Last time, they gave us our of and our percentage and didn't give us our is. So guess what this last one's going to be? You got it. Now they are going to give us our is and our percent, but not our of. So let's do some problems like that. They tell us 207 is 46% of what number? Okay, they got our 207 is, we got our percentage. Let's plug it in. We know our is over our of equals p over 100. Plug them in. 207 up there. We don't know our of. We know 46 is our percent out of 100. All we got to do to solve this are those same steps that we've been working on. 207, add those two zeros, equals 46x. Use that cross product, divide each side by 46. And let's check this one out in the calculator. And we'll get 450 equals x. So we just figured out our of is 450. And if I plug that in here, that would mean 450 goes up on top. Look how I set this one up. They told us our percent, 46%. And they told us that 46% was 207. But they didn't tell us our total. Again, if we're looking all the way up top, what we're really talking about when we're talking about this is and of is we're talking about the part versus the whole. Our bottom line number is the entire thing. So if I told you I had 5 apples, my whole would be 5 apples. If I gave you part of it, I gave you 3 apples, that would be the part. Those are the same as the is and of. So if you're wondering why this is working for us, that would be why. Our of is our whole, our is our part. It's just easier to word those as is and of rather than part and whole, especially when we're looking at problems where they word that as is and of. We're ready to do some more problems here. Let's send it. We've got our is and of formula right here. They tell us 19 is 75%. Okay, I got my is, 19. Don't have my of, 75% out of 100. I know that 100 is always going to be there. Cross multiply here. 19, add 2 zeros, equals 75x. To get x by itself, divide by 75. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. And I'm going to get 25.3 repeating equals x. If I plug that in down there, that seems like that would be appropriate. 19 out of 25.3 is the same as 75 out of 100, or 75%. And one more example here. We've got 310 is. Okay, we got our is. Don't have our of. 99% of what number? Okay, this number's going to have to be pretty close to 310. Cross multiply, we're going to get 310, toss on 2 zeros, equals 99x. Divide each side by 99 here. Those will cancel out, and we'll get 313.3 repeating equals x. I punched that one in my calculator, plug that in. That seems like that would check out. 310 out of 313 equals 99 out of 100. So again, these are all different ways that you can use this same formula, making sure that you're plugging into the correct spots. All right, we just have a couple more here. I'm going to jot my formula down one more time right up here. Looking at some word problems. Okay, we're looking at drive-in movies. Those movie screens, probably a lot of you have not seen them before. They were an older thing. We drive up in your car, open up the back, and there's a big screen outside that you can use to watch a movie. Over time, they've become less popular. So the numbers, as you can see here, are starting to decline every year of how many drive-in movies there are. So if we look at this right here, they tell us in 2005, there was 84% of the number of screens as in 1995. How many screens were there in 1995? That we don't know. They didn't tell us that here. But they did tell us a few things. They told us our percent to start. They told us we're looking for 84%. And we know we're trying to find our is and our of. It says in 2005, there was 84% of the number of screens as in 1995. We don't know what number of screens that is. We don't know the of. So the of I know is going to have to be an x. But we do know how many screens there were in 2005. In 2005, there was or is 709 screens. We have this set up just like we need to. All we have to do here is hit our cross multiply. Divide each side by 84. And we will get 844 screens in 1995. That seems to make sense to me. They said it was 84%. That looks like that checks out. I could check that math if I wanted to. I'm going to trust it this time around. Okay. And now they told us in 2000, the number of drive-in screens was 20.1%. Okay, they tell us that right now off the bat. They tell us our percentage of the number in 1980. What was that number? Okay, we're looking for our of again of the number in 1980. We don't have. Mixing our x again. In 2000, we have 17. And we are ready to cross multiply here. 17, add 2 zeros equals 20.1x. To get that by itself, we're going to divide each side by 20.1. And I'm going to get 3,567 as our x. So in 1980, there used to be a lot more screens, as you can see here. So I'm 17 out of 3,000. And I can check this work right now. I can see if these are equal to each other by cross multiplying and checking if they're equal. Let me check it out. I'm going to pull up my calculator here. 3,007 times. And these aren't going to be exact because the decimals are a little bit off. But as you can see here, these are almost the exact same number. This one is point something, something, something away. It is so close that those are going to be good enough. That is a reasonable answer. What I have right down here for you is major takeaways from today. I'm not going to go over them because our lesson's getting kind of long here. But if you want to take a screenshot of those, this is the finding the percent, the finding the part, and the finding the whole. Just 3 different ways that these problems can be worded where you use different parts. The big takeaway from this lesson is this formula right here and knowing where to plug in your certain points. Percentages always go above 100. Finding that is, finding that of. Good luck with this work today. We'll have 2 days to work on this, some review tomorrow, so there won't be a lesson tomorrow. You all have a good rest of your day. Bye.